Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to another update video on the channel. I hope you guys are keeping well. Some little bits and pieces to get into today since my last update video. Of course, we've had the Wolves kit released over the last couple of days, which looks gorgeous. I did a video on that on Friday morning if you want to go and check that out. And before we kick off, let us pray to whoever's up there in regards to this week being a busy week for Wolves. Of course, we have the start of new contracts kicking off as we hit July the 1st. Contracts expiring, such as Nelson Semedo, who I'm going to be talking about in a minute. And we will, in the next sort of week to 10 days, have the players returning for pre-season friendlies, pre-season training, sorry. So players this week will be returning off holidays. And hopefully then we start to see that things move a lot quicker. But we do start off with Nelson Semedo because as of Friday afternoon, reported by Nathan Judah, Nelson Semedo still hadn't made his mind up on the situation at Wolverhampton Wanderers. The player is still yet to give his decision to the club. As we've said previously, is a 4-year contract apparently on the table for Nelson right now. The club, rightly so, have been looking at replacements just in case. But as of right now, we don't know what the situation regarding Nelson is. You would think surely by tomorrow, tomorrow is the final day of June. Tomorrow, which is Monday, surely he would give us an answer by then. I can't see it being in a situation where his contract expires and then he comes back to us, if you understand what I mean. So I think tomorrow we could have some news in regards to Nelson Semedo. But the fact that it's gone on this long, are we expecting him to stay? I don't know. A lot of fans, I don't know, rightly or wrongly, sort of suggesting that we should just take the contract off the table, sod him. But I actually think, you take into account, you're taking a bit of a risk bringing somebody else in. You'll have to pay some decent money potentially to bring somebody in. I don't know. So I think Wolves respectfully may be okay, as long as by tomorrow they say, look, last chance, if not, it's going off the table. But yeah, Nelson Semedo, I think maybe in the next 24 hours or so we'll have some news on him. Friday evening as well, we got some news regarding a potential new midfielder, Yunus Musah, American central midfielder, currently playing in Italy with AC Milan at the moment. I remember Wolves had linked with him. He used to play for Valencia in Spain, but still 22 years of age as of right now. Valued or potentially could be leaving this summer for around the 20 to 25 million euro mark, which I think is a really decent value for a player of this quality. Forest also said to have an interest in Musah. It'll be interesting, this one, in regards to where he fits in, because you probably wouldn't suggest him as a holding midfielder, but maybe in one of the more advanced roles, in a similar role to Manetzi, maybe a rotation with Marshall Manetzi as a player. But yeah, Yunus Musah, American international. I'd have to look into it, but he has spent time in England as well, so he may well be classed as homegrown as well, which is obviously a massive boost and bonus for Wolves and their registration rules. But yeah, Yunus Musah to Wolves want to maybe keep our eye on to see if it advances. It's likely that he's going to be coming to the Premier League this summer, so we'll see if Wolves is one of the options. Another player, really talented young man that Wolves have been linked with over the last couple of days as well, is Wallace Yan. You may know this lad because he's been playing in the Club World Championships with Flamengo. At the time of the report, he played just 2 games for Flamengo, had to come off the bench and scored twice. One of those was in their win against Chelsea as well. Now, the player is very well thought of in Brazil. He's got a release clause to foreign clubs of around 40 million euros. So you wouldn't expect to be paying that amount. You'd probably be able to get him in for a little bit lower than that. But again, only 20 years of age. Real raw but talented forward player. Probably in the ilk of Matheus Cunha in that replacement. Obviously not as experienced as him. Only really broke into the first team picture a few months ago for Flamengo. So it would be a little bit of a risk for that fee. But genuinely, if you can get another player in and around him with maybe a little bit more experience and bring Wallace in as well as a long-term player, I think you could have a real talent on your hands. But again, I'm sure there'll be plenty of clubs linked with him, especially, I think Flamengo's still in the Club World Championship. I haven't caught up on last night's results. Yeah, they play tonight against Bayern Munich. Tough game, so their journey may come to an end. But I'll keep an eye on that to see if he does appear at some point. But again, if their journey does come to an end, you may well see, transfers like this speed up a little bit as well. Another Brazilian player Wolves have been linked to is Igor, Julio, the Brighton defender. a little bit of a rotation option for Brighton this year, but his agent has obviously been doing some talking because he's been linked with a lot of clubs. And according to Diario Vasco in Spain, Wolves are one of those clubs that have apparently made an inquiry for the defender. A few Spanish clubs also interested in him. I believe Real Sociedad are heavily interested. Real Madrid have also made an inquiry about him. But there's a few Premier League teams, Leeds and Crystal Palace, including ourselves, said to be interested as well. I wouldn't mind this option. I think Premier League experience, tick. Left-footed centre-back as well, tick. So if he's happy to come in and again be a rotation option, like he was with like he was at Brighton, but with Totti Gomez, I think it could be an option for Wolves. But again, it depends on fee, depends if the player is happy to sort of be a rotation option. I have no doubt if he went to Real Madrid, he's not going to be a starter either. But got the experience, could maybe be an option for Wolves long term. But I just feel like I mentioned at the start of that story, it could be agent talk and Wolves are just being thrown into the mix once again, like I've explained before. Another goalkeeper that's been linked is the Sparta Prague keeper, Juri Herkens. 19 years of age, was born in Czech Republic but represents the Netherlands at an international level. Actually won the Under-19 European Championships at the end of last month with the Netherlands as well. And now potentially looking for a move. Ajax are said to be heavily interested in him. Obviously, with him being half Dutch, he has got some sort of connection with that club. Como in Italy as well, also interested, but Wolves are too. I think this is a few years ago, Wolves was sort of in the market for a goalkeeper, but wanted someone of this sort of standard, a sort of young 19, 20, 21-year-old goalkeeper who could be an understudy to a number one and then long-term become the number one as well. I think this would tick a lot of boxes for Wolves. If there's genuine interest as of yet, I'm not sure. It came from quite a random story, it doesn't feel like it's just pure agent-led talk, this one. So I do feel that there is some substance in this story. At the moment, looking at it, Ajax do seem to be the favourites to sign him if they want him. But this type of level of goalkeeper is definitely what Wolves want. I think they probably want Jose Sa another number one. No disrespect to Dan Bentley, but someone like Herkins in as a number two, and then a homegrown goalkeeper, i.e. Dan Bentley or Tom King in as a number three. I think long term that would be probably the plan for Wolves as well. And Tommy Doyle, there's not been any major advancements on the Tommy Doyle story. There have been a couple of little bits over the weekend. Some sources saying Birmingham have pretty much got that deal sorted. Not the best of sources, if I'm honest. We had Peter O'Rourke of Football Insider say it was a done deal. And then we also had Alan Nixon say it was a done deal, and Birmingham have got a £10 million option or obligation to buy as well. So it'll be interesting to see what comes to fruition with this deal. Again, if Birmingham, I would assume, if they haven't already, will be returning to training maybe this week. So they'll probably want to get this deal done sooner rather than later. I can't remember if I mentioned it on the last video. Tommy Doyle, he's just had a new baby girl with his partner, so there wouldn't be much upheaval for him to move. And I actually think if there's an obligation to buy at £10 million, I like Tommy Doyle a lot. Can I see him being a solid, long-term Premier League midfielder? I'm still undecided. So I think if Wolves cash in now, if it's 10 million, if City have got the 50% on the profit, Wolves make 2.5 million-ish next year. We'll wait and see. So I think the Wolves have screwed themselves over, really. I think with that sell-on clause City had, they would have had a lot more flexibility. But I suppose without that sell-on clause, Wolves wouldn't have been able to buy Tommy Doyle for £5 million to begin with. So another homegrown player gone potentially. Wolves will have to, think about that as well. But yeah, an update of some sorts, a little bit of juice in there. I am begging, praying, hoping that this week is going to give us some real good, positive news. There may be some changes. There may be some steps backwards. i.e. Nelson may say, look, thank you, but it's goodbye. He goes tomorrow. But then the rest of the week, we might have some really positive news, because I'm sure Vitor Pereira will try and get a lot of cogs turning before the players return to training next week. So, as always, guys, be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The weather is still warm here in Wolverhampton, but I'm off for a barbecue now, so hopefully the clouds start to disappear a little bit. And, yeah, look after yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one.